Hey, how's it going? So today you're joining me on my walk from Khreshchatyk Street, which is where I took off from last time. You might remember my previous walk where I began over there and I walked all the way from Podil. Well, from there to Podil. Today, if you can bear with me, I'm going to walk down this incredibly icy street. It's about -1 today. It's probably the warmest day we've had in many days. Most days here have been between -10 and -7. So today is actually really warm. I'm going to attempt not to break my neck while I walk down this incredibly well-trodden street. This street is probably the main street in Kiev. It is one of the arteries of Kiev, hence a lot of traffic, and sadly, because of the automobile and the fumes that the automobile does spew out before we get hydro and everyone goes electric.
Wait a minute, what are you doing, Doc?
I need fuel. Go ahead, quick, get in the car.
It is sometimes fairly polluted, but along this street, because it's fairly wide, you can just about avoid the pollution. It's, you know, I'm kidding. It's not like, this is not like being in Cairo. The air is reasonably clean. You have the river Dnipro that way, which seems to sort of funnel a lot of fresh air down from the north, past Chernobyl, slightly radiated, and it brings us to Kiev. I'm walking incredibly slowly. Here's a tip for you. If you're ever on this street, this is a good cash machine. And why do I say that's a good cash machine? Well, a lot of cash machines in Kiev, and cash machines all over the world, will charge you a certain fee to use them. That cash machine charges no fee. And in my world, that's pretty good going, I think, because some of you end up paying about £3 or £4 or $5 or so. You see a lot of these places, hot dog places. This is an amazing place. I ate here last night. Highly recommend the beer. The IPA here is incredibly good. It's called Piva Duma. It's a new restaurant. Well, it knew in fact that it wasn't here last year. A lot of businesses have actually gone bankrupt. What we see here, we used to have these sort of kebab shops and places. We continue. One thing I point out over here is a hotel over here called, I think it's the Hotel Dnipro. Very cheap, affordable hotel. Never stayed in it personally, but it's very popular with tourists. This has been under development, I think, for over 6 years. Nothing going on over there. Over here, we have Ukraine's famous Buddha Bar. It's a strange place. It's a place that you will find a lot of tourists / businessmen. And on top of that, it's the only bar in Kiev where it sort of fits the cliche. And I say the cliche because the reality is Kiev is an incredibly, well, beautiful place and warm place. But the Buddha Bar has a sort of darkness to it. Probably what you'll see in there sometimes are a few working girls, probably connected to the Princess Men's Club. You also get normal people in there as well. But you'll know you're onto a working girl when you're sat at the bar, you're over 65, and a young 21-year-old is paying you more attention than she probably really should. That's probably a good sign that she's a working girl. But let's continue. I almost went over there. Just trying to get my balance here. The reality is some parts of the pavements are salted, some parts are not. In the winter time, and this is December right now, you've got to basically make sure you have enough grip on your shoes. I mean, look at this. I was out last night and I think I saw half a dozen people falling on their arse. One of the numerous money-changing places. If you're interested in comparing rates, I recommend the app Money Maps. Money Maps will basically show you all of the different currency places around Kiev. Show you the best value, because some are great value and some are not. And it is worthwhile if you do come to Ukraine, do change up money while here. Don't just rely on your card, because Not most machines, like I say, do charge cash. One of the things that's quite ingenuitive about the Ukrainian people is their fondness for tech. This is one of the many VR places in Ukraine. This one's called the Real Matrix. I haven't actually been in this one, but I've heard good things about it. I'm hoping that someday I'll get to do it. Oh, and also over here, I don't know if you can see this. There's a what is it? Jellyfish. It's a jellyfish zoo type museum. So you go in there, trip yourself on mushrooms or something, and take in the jellyfish. Obviously, this is Madden Square. What we're going to do is we're going to go down. I'm going to try not to break my neck. Let's see. Well, many thanks for joining me on this little journey. If you can click that like button, that really helps me out. And if you're not a subscriber, click the subscribe button and the bell notification, and you'll hopefully be updated when I release a new video. So what we have here in pretty much all over Kiev, anytime you get sort of to a place that you need to cross the road, they have these underground areas. Now some are very pretty, some are less pretty. As you can see, this is one of the least pretty ones, but you know what, it's connected to a very nice shopping centre. Good place to go if you're feeling cold. And I tell you, when it was -10 yesterday, just nipping in there for like a couple of minutes sorts you out, because today, honestly, -1 feels really warm in comparison to what it has been. I think Google was saying -10, but it feels like -18. For once, Google was right on that one. But what you have here is you have a lot of entrepreneurs. Some have obviously gone bust because we've had the pandemic, but most of them are still thriving, those that are allowed to stay open. What's happening in the beginning of January, I think the 8th of January, Ukraine goes into a lockdown. What that means is, despite the fact that this is being recorded in the first half of December, they already know they're going into lockdown. What does that tell you? It tells you that this is scripted, this is planned, because effectively lockdown is supposed to sort of reduce the curve, you know, reduce the strain on hospitals. But instead, in this case, they go into a lockdown and they announce it a month ahead, which is crazy in my mind. Other nations will probably do the same. In January, all the nations, and probably in the Northern Hemisphere, will start locking down and basically bringing on the so-called Great Reset. So here we are in Madden Square. Obviously, if you've seen my other videos, I've spoken many times about Madden Square. Other videos can be found in my Ukraine playlist, Madden Square, where the 2014 revolution took place. This building over here is obviously being rebuilt. This building was burned down during the revolution, and many people, innocent people, lost their lives. And obviously, you remember from my discussions, brave men running up the slope up there were being shot at by a sniper. Not sure on whose side that sniper was for. However, if you usually state what side you think, you'll get a bit of hate in the comments. It's sort of like, it's a little bit like the Brexit thing. You either have an opinion on one side or you have an opinion on the other side. And no, I don't work for either side. Some more casualties over here. There was a beer place that I know a lot of my friends used to like to go to that's shut down. But Lviv Croissants is still there. One of those amazing businesses, great place to get coffee or croissants in the morning, or anytime, it's 24 hours, those places. You're gonna cross. There's a really good breakfast place up here, actually. I recommend it. I'm gonna try and put the name in the link because I can't quite remember what it's called, but they do really good sort of like a smorgasbord of breakfast. It has a sort of Scandinavian feel to it. And this is the main Khreshchatyk Street. It began over there where we started, but this is kind of where most people sort of associate Khreshchatyk with. It acts as a sort of promenade in a way. In the summer, which looks completely different, you have little old ladies, young men, old men sitting on these benches. Obviously in the winter, things look very different. I'm still trying not to fall on my ass here. Numerous shops sort of dot these sort of areas. You know what's nice, apart from that? That's a sad thing. KFC's appeared. I don't think that used to be something far nicer. It used to be a Ukrainian restaurant. Now it's an awful, god-awful KFC. More exchange places. Let's see. What we often find over here, yeah, and they are here, as expected. I'm just going to walk past them because I don't really want to sort of stopping where they are. Please don't give these people any money. They are effectively exploiting monkeys. They're always here. The monkeys can be, and probably because I've got a camera, they're probably going to be coming up to me, but please just say no to the monkeys. Please just ignore them. Don't give them any money because it's the animal that's being exploited. And if you're giving money to these people, you're encouraging the exploitation of animals. So I do not recommend it. No.
Do you speak English?
I speak English.
Where are you from?
London.
What are you doing in Ukraine?
I work here.
Working?
Yeah.
Say hello, this is Victor.
Hi, Victor. I don't agree with the exploitation of animals, you know. But thank you.
Редкостный, короче, ты давай.
Okay. Now, the man might think I'm some kind of fool. I don't mind. I'm not his enemy. I just disagree with the job that he chooses to do. His job incorporates the exploitation of animals. Animals very closely related to us. At the end of the day, humans are primates. And this is no better than slavery for them. They would rather be in the wild, living their lives. To get an animal as tame as the one that you see in that man's arms, it has most likely been snatched from its mother from a very young age. And often its mother is killed to get the baby, and then the baby is flown in from Southwest Africa, where they're from, to Ukraine, which is where we find them today. I don't know when my camera stopped filming, but it's somewhere between the Monkey Man and here, so I'm not entirely sure. What I hope you saw on camera was when I was filming the Monkey Man, which is a complete exploitation of animals. There's two monkey men there. When he's realized I wasn't in favor of the exploitation of animals, very uncharacteristically not Ukrainian, he decided to be abusive towards me. Anyway, another thing I should point out over here, we're slightly going back on ourselves here. This arch over here is one of the main sort of expensive shopping streets in Ukraine. It's a shopping street that sort of attracts the very rich, those who like luxury brands. Vacuous shopping. You always see people there pulling up in their sort of matte black Range Rovers. Out pop the bodyguards, out pops the very beautiful lady covered in fur. And sometimes there'll be photo shoots going on for their Instagram pages. It's a little bit like London's Bond Street, or the one in California where everyone goes shopping. Kind of Fifth Avenue in a way, but that's a little bit more sort of for the people, Fifth Avenue. What's the one in LA? You know the one I'm talking about, their name's here. Anyway, so here's Puzata Hatter. Very good sort of 24-hour restaurant. You can get yourself proper Ukrainian dishes, McDonald's, I guess. One approves if you're coming back from a night of techno and you need breakfast in the morning, or you want a sort of a quick coffee. But the reality is the places that do better coffees are the places that you see up and down the streets. Support those guys over the McDonald's. And this is the Khreshchatyk's main metro station. You go in here, you're going to be heading down a lot of escalators. It's incredibly deep because, like, if you remember my video about the Ukrainian metro was basically designed for just in case we had World War III. So the population would, a little bit like World War II, for the Londoners, they would go into the underground station, but unlike the Londoners, they would probably be better protected because the stations in Kiev are incredibly deep. They're designed to sort of withstand the first blast of a nuclear strike. So the hope is they will survive, and hopefully that will never happen. And anyway, pausing for a little bit of breath there. Seems to be talking a lot. And one thing you notice a lot of in Ukraine in these tech shops, they're obsessed with new tech. These scooters that you probably now see all over the world right now. The first place I ever saw them was in Ukraine. They have the mono scooters, the ones on one wheels. They have the standard scooters. And to be honest, pretty innovative when it comes to technology and it comes to apps. So much so they get compared to people in Shenzhen in China. There's a lot of innovation over here. Government buildings over here. Very, very Soviet design. Beautiful buildings, I think. Very striking, very sort of typical to what you see in Kiev and what you see in also Minsk in Belarus. And also parts of Moscow as well, obviously. And then we walk down here. Notice the balconies of these places. Some of these buildings, in my mind, aesthetically very beautiful. But when you head inside them, because there is no one building owner, some of the maintenance isn't quite up to standard. So what you sometimes find, if you draw the unlucky straw and you rent your apartment or you buy your apartment, you sometimes will find your apartment isn't maintained in the one above you. And there's not much you can do about that unless you can sort of appeal to the good nature of the person that owns that apartment. Because there is generally, not all apartments, but generally these old buildings don't have building managers. What happens was the elevator starts to give in, the elevator shaft needs replacing, but of course there's always a little old man or a little old lady living in the building that can't really afford to contribute. So then everyone goes, well hang on, that's not fair, I don't want to contribute more than I should do. So then what happens, and this is what I'm learning, nothing gets done. What then sadly then does happen, the buildings then start to fall into disrepair. Hopefully these don't, because some of these are very beautiful, I think, especially this one over here. So once they do fall into disrepair, they get knocked down. And then it's prime target for the developers to then come in, knock it all down. The old lady ends up on the street and the developer makes a load of money by building a new apartment. This is kind of Ukraine's version of Bloomingdale's, or Ukraine's version of Harrods or Selfridges. Probably closer to Selfridges in London if you're familiar with London. And that's where I draw my sort of comparisons to, with the Chanel label on the top. This is called Zoom. Zoom. What you'll find about Zoom, very, very expensive clothes inside. I'm not much of a shopper, but the top floor, where you can see the sort of glass up there, it's a good place to go for sushi. Sushi and Ukrainian sparkling white wine. I highly recommend it. Talking of food, this place over here, you'll forgive me because I have no idea what this is called, even though I can't quite understand what it says from the neon. All I know is it's the hot dog place that sells cider and apple pie. This place that sells cider and apple pie, I should try and feature it. I love these hot dogs, and they're not meat hot dogs, they're vegetarian hot dogs. Everything's €1, so whatever the euro is at the time. Vegetarian hot dog, €1. Apple pie, €1. Cider, €1. So you can have a great meal for about €3. Fantastic. Stand outside in the cold. Like I say, it's slightly warmer today, -1. So this is this amazing place that does vegetarian hot dogs and pies. You can get chicken pies or apple pie. Massively recommend the apple pie. And this is the cider. Amazing. I totally recommend it. There's a few around the city now. This is not the one that we walked past. This is just the one a little bit further down the road. Really, really good. Total price, I think, for all of this was 97 hryvnias, which is about €3. What I like about these buildings, this building especially, is sort of, whatever the stone is, you see this about in a lot of Kiev. And I think the stonework on this building and some of the stonework you see on the footpaths is quite amazing. They've taken time to sort of make things solid and, just hope that they last. I mean, look, the prime example is the bench. These are solid benches. In the summer, this little area here is normally fountains, but obviously all the fountains that you would normally see are gone. This is one of the major intersections. Beautiful building here. I had the pleasure of staying on that balcony once and on that balcony once. And what it does is it looks up this sort of main artery up here. You head up here, you get towards the 11 Mirrors Hotel, and that hotel is owned by Klitschko, the boxer. And I think he's mayor. He's certainly got a lot of influence. Got to try not to fall over here. Sheet ice. I I might go a little bit quiet while I try and navigate past this sheet ice and get back onto the area where there's I'm not going to fall on my ass. I do have grips on my shoes, so that does help. Let's keep going. Almost caught someone on camera there falling over. But gladly they didn't. Could have been me in a moment. There's a place over here, Dogs and Burgers, another really good value. And what's really strange, you try to get good value on London's major street, which is, I guess, Oxford Street, and you'll be hard pressed to find something affordable. That place there, I think, there's really, granted it is fast food again, but it's really cheap. Keep on going. You know what I missed? I should have really sort of observed Madden a bit more. I think the reason I didn't want it was super icy. But what you find in Madden is there's a lot of fountains that dance during the summer. But during the winter around Madden, it's all sealed off. But there's a wonderful statue of the founders of Kiev, Madden, and I completely missed it. If you watched one of my videos on Ukraine, on Kiev, I think I'll post it just there, you'll see that statue. And that statue shows Kyiv, who was, I think, one of the brothers of three, and his sister. And you have to forgive me, I can only remember who Kyiv is. But the very powerful fighters, they wouldn't be out of place in Conan the Barbarian or something. Probably one of his mates, not related by the way. But they founded Kiev, I think around about 480 or 460. Forgive me for getting that 20 years wrong. The actual year they founded it is this year. And the statue, one back there, is one of the more impressive ones, I think. I'm sorry I didn't show it. There's a picture of it here. And as we draw to the end of Khreshchatyk, I'm going to keep going. I don't want this video to drag on too much longer, but it gives you an idea what you'll find in the summer when, sadly, it's overrun with tourists. You find a lot of men being a little bit sleazy to some of the girls. It is a shame. But, you know, where in the world does that not happen? But this does seem to be a playground for the Turks. As much as I like the Turks, they have no shame when it comes to whistling, dog whistling, cat whistling. Is it dog whistling? Cat whistling? So I don't even know how to refer to it.
Want some bracelets and everything, Daddy. You better get the best for me. Hey, Daddy.
Roshin. I think the ex-president of Ukraine owns Roshin. You see these chocolate stores everywhere. And what I'm going to do, I think the way I'm going to finish this, you could walk over, and if you do walk over, there's a great little noodle bar over there. You know what? I'm going to walk over this way because I think it would be a shame to miss out on the market, and I think we could finish with the market. What you've got to realize is underneath us right now, and we'll just quickly cross. What you got to realize as we cross over this traffic, underneath us, where you see where these steps are over here, there's a whole shopping mall. And I tell you something, what we're going to do is we're going to walk through the market area, and maybe we've got time, and the battery hasn't died on me again. We're going to go down into the shopping mall just to give you a sort of perspective of what's underground. And the shopping mall it's just one of these underground passageways, but you see them everywhere. But these are the more sort of bright underground passageways. Let's see. Maybe check out Money Maps. Okay, so mask has gone on because we've got the whole COVID situation, just out of respect, and I'm inside. And the majority of the people in here are the old resellers. But I think I've included this in one of my previous videos. But this is one of my favorite markets. And actually one of my favorite beer places, fantastic for getting beer, is this place. Sorry?
Объясните, что у нас за съемки, объясните, пожалуйста.
Sorry, I don't know what you're saying.
No,
What? It's public?
no,
You fi-
no,
Okay, I'm filming here.
no, no,
I'm filming here.
no, no, no. На улице, да, yes, на улице, yes, а тут no.
No filming.
Выключайте.
Can I film here?
No.
Why?
Внутри, да.
What?
Внутри, да. Yes, внутри. No, в руке, no.
But filming here.
С той стороны.
Okay. That's a bit unfortunate. Okay, that's a shame because usually Ukrainian people are really friendly. This is one of my favorite beer places. The beer here is fantastic. It's not open yet. It should be open. The milkshake IPA, highly recommend it. The IPA in itself, really recommend it as well. The lady, I think, is taking a little bit unkindly to me filming. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go out because I actually really like this place. I don't want to get banned. So I'm going to go out. Okay. Mask off. Mask off. That's a shame. That's a real shame because it's a lovely market in there, and I've got no bones to pick with that lady. But it's a shame that she was so adamant that I couldn't be filming in there. So you know what that does? It gives us a little bit more time with baklava because of the Arabic sort of Turkish influence here. You get a lot of good baklava. This is a fast food place. Doner kebabs and baklava, really nice. Or the baklava rather than the doner kebab. So what we're going to do, I'm hopefully not going to break my neck. What we're going to do, and this is the, I think this is where we will try and navigate. I recommend holding the banisters when it's icy like this. Mask on really, but I'm gonna finish the video here because one, I'm hungry. I get to get some food in the food court. Looks a bit dead actually. This used to be. Let's see if it is dead. COVID has possibly destroyed this place. There's a little bit of food going on, but as you can see, some bits are shuttered up. Anyway, before I get kicked out of here for filming, if you like this content, click subscribe, and I will see you in the new video or the next video. Keep progressing. Cheers.